AFC Bournemouth hate having the football. It was a game of two halves on Tuesday. In West London, Bournemouth huffed and puffed in the first 45. Chelsea dominated. Our shape was off, our press was found out, and the Blues, they had the freedom of the park, especially down the spine of the pitch. But as half-time came and went, Cherries emerged as a different team, and the game, it turned on its head. From 1-0 down, Bournemouth made it 2-1, but for a stoppage time free kick, we could have emerged with all 3 points and possibly the most unlikeliest result of the match week. But is it unlikely these days? Possibly not, because we firmly believe that Andoni Iraola is the most intelligent manager in the Premier League. Tom, disappointing, but a game of two halves maybe?
Yeah, game of two halves for sure, mate. I think disappointing because of the nature of it, that they score a free kick right at the death. But I think everyone before the game would have taken a draw. Obviously, you look at the players we have out, everyone knows about that, apart from Match of the Day and TNT, they don't know. Cool. But we all know about that. And even at half-time, everyone was going, we got no chance to get a point here. So to get it is really good. But as you say, because of the manner of the goal at the end, it was just took a little bit away from it, but still really impressed with the boys and Andoni and the way we come out in the second half.
It's a relatively quick turnaround for the Cherries, certainly in terms of the fans and the travel time. Hence, this is a shorter second look. If you want to listen to it, you can do. Just head to your favourite pod provider, search Back in the Net AFC Bournemouth, and then you can listen to this pod, maybe, as you're travelling to St James's Park. So look, we had a nice drive to West London. Some fans took the train, signalling problems, nightmare. Gary Chapman, who's a supporter of the channel, decided, nah, screw it, because he couldn't get to London in time.
Yeah, well, everyone knows that watch the channel how much I hate London.
Really?
Yeah, so when you said you'd drive, thank you, mate, because, they do my head in. You can plan as much as you want, and they go, nah, train's cancelled now. All right, cheers.
Fine.
Yeah, does my head in. So that was frustrating for a lot of fans for sure, mate. But yeah, thanks to you for driving up.
We went to the Curtains Up. If you haven't seen our vlog, it's a pub that's got a theatre built in, 52-seat theatre. I did my research on Wikipedia for that, of course. But look, we don't find out teams as early as 6:15 usually, but we did this time. And it was as expected, so much so you predicted it.
Well, it wasn't as expected. It was expected from me. I think most people were, which I totally appreciate, and most people had Cliver in and probably had Adams out, actually. And I weirdly, it's like I spoke to Andoni, because I did say I felt that he's done it before, so I'm not that bloody intelligent, but he does. With the lack of options we've got, he loves having something on the bench that can come on, play a number of positions and impact it. And I just felt if he starts Clivert, then he hasn't really got any impact off the bench. So obviously he took Clivert. And he said if I had 23, 24 players available, I would have started Justin. But because I've only got 12, 13, I left him off, and obviously he come on sooner than expected. But yeah, so got it right because of that. And Dango was obviously going to lead the line, I felt, after his performance in the Cup.
That bench though, mate.
I mean, it's one of the weakest benches the Premier League's ever seen, particularly after when Justin comes on after 20-odd minutes. Then you've got barely an hour Premier League experience between them all. So, yeah, and then obviously you look at their bench as well, and when you're 1-0 down, you think, I don't know how we're getting anything out of this. So, yeah, I think when you put that into context, it's a massive point. For them, they did bring Lavia in. I said he was fit, but I wasn't sure if he was going to be chucked straight in, and they moved Saicedo to right back, didn't they? Akinpong played as well, the young lad, over Adebayo, which confused me a little bit. And then they went Sancho over Neto, didn't they? But they've got them options now that they can rotate, especially when it's a busy period.
They're a team with whom we've had some fortune against, mainly under the Eddie Howe era, of course. However, this was going to be a tough test because Chelsea at home, Fulham fans will say differently, but tough team to play. And they come off the back of a not great run, so they would have been really, really trying to put that right against a team that obviously they would have seen is in good form, but has got problems and in terms of our injuries. But there's always a chance at Stamford Bridge. Yeah. Always a chance. Yeah. The way the game played out initially, though, it didn't feel like that.
No, they started really well, to be fair to them. And we were struggling tactically, and again, we'll talk about the second half where Andoni's changed some bits, but it looked like we were, which makes sense, so worried about Cole Palmer that Adams was virtually dropping into a free to try and stop that. But what ended up happening is they used their intelligence and just went, okay, they're trying to watch Cole Palmer, so we'll bring Cucurella and Saicedo right into the centre of the pitch, invert them, so to speak, and then we'll pack out the midfield and then they'll just be a free rein in there. And that's what happened. And they were just picking us off at will in them areas. And then obviously probably trying to change a little bit and we get an injury and all this sort of stuff. It was difficult for us, but luckily the main thing was we kept it at 1-0 at half time. That was the key, mate. But yeah, it was a real tough start for us. They started well, I thought.
When we do an average position check, we can see that Tyler Adams is basically left back for a lot of the game, and it felt like he was almost more left than what Kirkes was.
Yeah.
Sort of tried to play inverted, almost matching what they do.
He was trying to watch Caicedo from the right back spot, wasn't he? Kirkes, and then Adams filled in there, and then because James Hill obviously started the game, he's playing right back but can play centre back. Kind of kept him in that zone, and it meant we can narrow it and let Kirkes go a little bit more. But yeah, it didn't. I got the method in the madness, but they're a very good team and they worked us out very, very quickly. And they took advantage of it. And as I say, mate, the thing was just get to half time and let Andoni change it a little bit, which was fortunately what happened. But yeah, it was a difficult watch at the start. They played well, I thought.
Look, we've got Cucurella and David Brooks on the thumbnail, and they had a lot of battles throughout, not least in the first few minutes where Cucurella visibly ran into David Brooks early doors, almost winded him. We were concerned, my God, is this an injury? But I think it was only just a winding or something like that. A visible body check from him. Brooks was looking at the ball. Cucurella wasn't. Nothing given for that one. Maybe something in the back of the referee's mind ahead of something that happens later on. Yeah. But I think Owen Hargreaves said there's no need for that. So one of the more astute observations from him during TNT's 90 minutes of covering that, because apparently people were listening at home, watching at home, thinking, this guy's a bit pro-Chelsea, isn't he?
Yeah, they said it sounded like Chelsea fan TV, but that often happens when we're on the telly. I'm sure it will again at the weekend. Just because I don't think these pundits really know much about Bournemouth, to be honest. They can barely pronounce most of their names. Hopefully that'll change soon, but I'm not that bothered. But yeah, as you say, mate, it was a little bit of a naughty one. I think if the ref's seen it, it's a yellow. Surprised that VAR didn't have a look, but I don't think it's a red. No. I think that's a yellow, and you wouldn't get VAR involved if they think it's a yellow as well. So I was disappointed he didn't get booked, but here's what it is. I'm just glad Brooksy was all right.
We spoke about Cole Palmer in the reverse fixture at Dean Court and the amount of protection that guy seems to have from the referee. And it seemed like every little touch he had, he would go down and the referee almost looks at the reaction and then gives him a free kick. And I thought it was pathetic where he had a tiniest touch on the back at one point from Tyler Adams, like barely a touch, and he went down, free kick. And it seemed to be that the referee, I don't want to say lost control, because some people who are chatting on the forums, chatting on social media, people who have chatted to me have seen how we reacted, especially during that first half, and thought, I don't think the referee was that bad. But if you're in the stands, you're seeing a different game, aren't you? And it felt to me like it just sort of lost his head a little bit. Yeah,
that's interesting that it always looks different on the telly, because I agree, mate. I thought he was absolutely horrific. I mean, you see on the vlog that we were losing half time, and I said, whatever happens in this game, that this ref's had a shocker. Yeah, because I wanted to make the point in case we come back, which we nearly did, that it wasn't because we were losing kind of thing. I just thought he was terrible. I think a lot of refs do that, and it used to happen with, say, Ronaldo, sometimes with Salah. When they're that good, I think when they go down, they think, he must have been fouled. Do you know what I mean? A little bit of that subconsciously. But Palmer was causing all sorts of problems. And so was Nicholas Jackson. He gets a lot of heat, and I get that. A lot of Chelsea fans were saying he was brilliant today, and he can't finish, and that is Jackson, which kind of makes sense when we try to side him. He's brilliant, but misses some chances. But I thought for how good Zabra and Dino are, and they were in the second half, by the way, they struggled in the first half, and that's got to be credit to Nicholas Jackson, because for Chelsea fans who don't know, them two at the back, centre halves, they're pocketing everyone at the moment. And Jackson caused them a lot of problems. So I think Chelsea fans, totally understandable he's not getting enough goals, but you've got to stick with him, because I think he offers them a lot, mate. I thought we couldn't cope with him in the first half. He was dropping off, and Zab didn't know whether to go, and obviously that ended up playing a big part in the goal.
Exactly. Zabani and Cook both got done. It was just strength and determination for Nicholas Jackson.
And he still got the pass perfectly as well.
He did. So he then managed to use that spine of the pitch to move into, and then eventually the ball was played into Cole Palmer, who timed his run perfectly, sat Travers down. Some people were saying that Travers was at fault for that, maybe a bit naive. So difficult when you're one-on-one and you're just trying to read what Cole Palmer's going to do. Went to the floor and they just caress it into the back of the net. Good finish.
Yeah, as soon as he got through, I thought it was a goal. But yes, it must have been annoying for Travers, because he's clever, and Cole Palmer. And he sat him down, and it was a very nice finish. But yeah, it was one of them where they'll just be like, that's Palmer genius, but from us we think, oh, Travers just went. But I'm not going to blame him. There was a lot more that happened in the build-up, as you say. And yeah, I just looked back on it and thought, oh, should Zabba or Cook have just dragged him down and taken the yellow on Jackson? Because they had time to, but then they probably thought he's still got a lot to do here.
Yeah.
But they done it to perfection. And then I was thinking, oh dear, this could be a tough night.
The worrying stat was that Chelsea had won 8 out of the 11 games that they've played this season where they've taken the lead. So Bournemouth would have been very wary of that. But look, mate, I mean, we were having problems all over the pitch. Obviously, it was very difficult for Dango. Again, we talk about a game of two halves. It was for him.
Yeah.
It's so hard. I mean, I know he's played that role for Burkina Faso a couple of times, a number of times, in fact. But for us, obviously, trying to be what Evan Nelson is so difficult when you're not naturally that kind of player. He wasn't running the channels and making the runs. That, I mean, there were a few times.
He got better in the second half.
He did. Like, you know, James Hill, when he was on, tried to play that ball through a few times. Kirkez as well. Semenyo, I think, tried to play him through, but the run wasn't being made.
Yeah.
Usually it would be.
There was a few times where I thought Zabba and Dino were like clearing the ball like they normally would in the same sort of area as they normally would. And then no one was there and it looked like a bad clearance. And then they were kind of looking at Dango and Dango was looking at them. And it was just a bit of confusion, which is going to happen for a player that, apart from one cup game, has never started up front on his own for Bournemouth.
No.
So I think we just needed to get a bit used to that. I'm not going to, Dango, I mean, listen, he's put a shift in for us at full-back. He's played as wing-back, he's played on the wing, now he's playing up top. He always puts a shift in. And to be fair to him, I thought second half, he looked a little bit more intelligent. And I think when Kluivert come on, it helped him because Kluivert was naturally a little bit closer than Christie would be, and that made their defenders worry and gave Dango a little bit more room. But yeah, you could tell that we were playing square pegs and round holes, and then we had to play more in there because James Hill got injured. Yeah,
so you observed this actually and said, oh, James Hill looks like he's touching his hammy, but I don't know whether it's an ankle injury or what, but it's certainly a leg injury. But either way, apparently someone saw him walking in Ashley Cross with a slight limp. Probably doesn't bode well ahead of the game on Saturday at St James's Park, but much as expected, Kluivert went on, he filled that number 10 role, and then
Christie dropped, Cook went
so it was all over the place. But you know what, Andoni is the master of making these changes, and I felt like we were better for the second half of the first half, albeit Chelsea was still creating a lot of chances, but we also just looked a little bit better on the ball, but alas not as good as we did in the second half. And there were chances galore. Enzo Fernandez, he had a shot palmed just wide from Mark Travers. There was a big chance where Jackson blazed it over the bar. I think Howson was out-muscled by Madueke, wasn't he? And then he should have done better, Jackson. I can see why Chelsea fans are maybe complaining there. There was also that moment where the post was hit twice in the space of 20 seconds by both teams. Brooks set up Kluivert, who got the shot on goal but hit the post. Chelsea marauded up the other end and then hit the post himself. What a period of time that was.
Yeah, it was mad. Well, that was kind of epitomised the way we play and the way the game was going, that we have a chance and then if it doesn't go in, they're in again. And yeah, Jackson again causes problems, but again couldn't find the target. But yeah, it got to a stage where, and then there was a few that Travers made some good saves. I think there was a header, wasn't there?
That was from Jackson,
Was that Jackson? And then he hit the side net.
Yeah.
There's a really good, the first save was really, really good. And I just thought, half time, Travers has probably been our best player.
Yeah.
So I'm well happy to get in at 1-0. And also because of the evidence that I know Andoni, even without any personnel, he literally had no senior players left to bring on.
Yeah.
I knew he'd change something, but I didn't expect it to be that good second half.
No, and it was like he told Tyler Adams to do a different job slightly. He wasn't as much retreating or on that left side, and in the second half I think he had a much better game as a result, and that also meant Christie had a little bit more licence because he was on his own at times, and the space, I said this on the vlog, the space between Christie, Cook and Adams was huge, and they were just using that spine of the pitch to their advantage really. But you know what, we sort of always have hope with Andoni, but it didn't translate when we were doing our half-time analysis, thinking, this is pretty bad, and the wheels are going to come off our run at some point. And I thought it was going to be at Stamford Bridge, but
I do think I looked in the camera and said we won't lose.
You did say that, and look, you were probably validated and vindicated for saying that. As soon as the half started, we were much better. 3 minutes in, where were you at this point, Tom?
I was just finishing off my pint. I looked, they obviously have the screens. I heard a bit of a roar. Looked, saw we got a penalty. So then I just went underneath. I don't watch it. I ain't watching it. And I stood and I looked at the steward and I was just next to the steps where I had to come up. So I just waited. And as soon as I went in, I ran up the steps. She said to come up because I was like, I'll go and celebrate with them, but I ain't going up yet. And I didn't want to obviously get in the way of people.
Of course, yeah.
But
you know what?
It's weird though. A bit like in the first half, Cole Palmer's goal.
Yeah.
As soon as he's in, I go, goal.
Yeah.
Cliver, I tweeted this. It's Luke Littler on double 10, isn't it? I mean, he's so cool. And this will come back and bite us when he misses one, because everyone's going to miss one at some point. But I just didn't really, like I normally am, I'm not really concerned.
Not got attention. And he seems to be really cool, calm and collected. He has a good look at the keeper before he
just waits for him to go,
runs up to the ball. And then, just strokes it into the middle of the net, like right in the middle. He was also responsible for creating that chance because he was really physical and he won the ball back from, I think, Lavia in midfield. He runs sort of directly towards the goal. And one of the best runs is not from Antoine, who wins the penalty, not from Cliver. It's actually from Dango. Some really good off-the-ball running. Runs to the right, almost takes two Chelsea defenders with him. That clears the space for Semenyo. Clear foul, though, wasn't it?
It was. Foul. Yeah, I think it ended up going to Caicedo. Yeah, he just bundled him over, didn't he? It was a bit of a silly one. But yeah, as you say, some really, really good moves. And I think when you start the half fast, it can go one or two ways for us. We can get caught and the game could be over, or we could take advantage. Unfortunately, we did.
Only Wolves have conceded more penalties against Chelsea, most of them against us. But there's another stat to throw in. Moments after that, though, David Brooks, Cucurella, there was an incident and look, there was beef between them all game, like we said. And I'm not saying Brooks is faultless here. Of course he wasn't. But it was an Amdram performance from Cucurella, really, because you're watching from various angles, right? Cucurella isn't looking at the ball. David Brooks is sort of looking at the game. And Cucurella makes a beeline for David Brooks, runs straight into him. There was about 5 or 6 yards to travel. Why would you run directly into a Bournemouth player when you could just run round him? Seemed really odd. And when there was obviously a coming together, Brooks's arm went out. Yeah. The hair was pulled. Have a haircut, that won't happen. And then obviously there was lots of fury. He rolled over about 5 or 6 times, which obviously doesn't help things. If David Brooks had done that in minute 3, maybe Cucurella would have been on yellow, who knows. But yeah, it went to VAR and we were all bricking it, weren't we?
Well, because I looked straight away, as you have to do now with VAR, even when you pay to go into a stadium, you have to check with your mates that are watching on the telly to see what's going on. And all of them were messaging saying, yeah, he's going to go. So I thought, okay, he's definitely gone. And obviously it weren't to be. But then I've watched it back since. Obviously I didn't see it really in the moment. Watched it back on replays and from the TV. And I think, am I just subconsciously unbiased? I don't think that's a red. I mean, I get why it maybe give us a red, but I suppose it is similar to Joe Linton against Neto, and he didn't get a red, but we were calling for it. I felt that was a bit nastier.
Yeah, I think so, because he almost clotheslined him on the neck.
Yeah, whereas I don't know, I think, and Donny said it, they were going to break, and it was Cucurella, probably, and Brooks just gave him a little...
Take a yellow.
Yeah, I didn't think it was a red, but I understand, I guess, why VAR said that could be a red, go and have a look. Which obviously he did. But yeah, really pleased for a ref that was having a crap game. He managed to keep 11v11. And like I say, he's got to be one of the most hated players by neutrals.
Yeah, big.
I couldn't believe online how many people were kind of saying give Brooks a statue and stuff that were nothing to do with the game. They just hate him and he is a rat. So I was well happy that he was staying on the pitch, and more actually, obviously for the game itself, but more thinking we can't have a free game ban for anyone.
No, my God,
we ain't got any players. So yeah, I was relieved, definitely.
He's first player in Premier League history not to be sent off after a red card review at the pitch side monitor. I think upon review, the referee deemed the challenge was a reckless action, not violent conduct.
I think that's fair. That's not violent, but it's reckless.
No, yeah.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
As we look at the match timeline, Reece James was brought on moments after this, and this was a game-changing moment as it transpired to be. Yeah. But it didn't change the momentum of the second half because Bournemouth was still right on it. Really good corner routine. David Brooks, part of it, got the shot on goal. Chelsea fans, by the way.
That'd have been amazing, by the way, if Brooks had scored. Just after that.
God, wouldn't it?
It was only a few minutes after. But yeah, Chelsea fans are dead, aren't they?
About 6-7 minutes after that, we did take the lead, and that was Antoine Semenyo. My God, fed by Christie, in off the post. What a strike, by the way, that was.
And it's
unreal.
It's another one that when he shifts it, I fancy it. I didn't really kind of see it. I just knew he did it with power. And I personally don't think much of that Sanchez. It really baffles me that Chelsea have got loads of goalkeepers, loads of money, giving us one of the goalkeepers, by the way, and he's their best goalkeeper. I don't think he's very good.
He looked like he was pressable a lot more, and there's a chance a mistake could be made.
Yeah, but that one we said about the first half when we hit the post, our only real good chance was because he fluffed them out with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just thought if Semenyo just smashes this, I think it'll go past him. Obviously it did. Some nice little scenes. I couldn't believe that we were ahead in the game, but we'd earned it. And then I remember saying to you, God, we've come back too early.
Yeah, that's right. And well, as it turned out to be the case, we did. But Bournemouth have now scored at least twice in their last 6 away league matches, and that was another one of them. And one of the things that we can pull up from the stats here, when we compare the first half, which is being shown on screen now, we only registered 1 shot on goal, but the possession percentage is the one, because we almost matched them in the first half, but in the second half we let them have the ball. And you know what, like we say, that works out better for us because we got more shots on target. And as we look at the overall stats, if you're listening on the pod, unlucky, check out YouTube and then you can see it all there. It was contrasting because we created more chances. By the way, there's been moments against Chelsea before where we're at our most vulnerable just after we've scored.
Yeah, I remember one in the cup.
And Dan Gosling.
That's right.
And then Howson puts in an incredible challenge on Nicholas Jackson, who's about to pull the trigger, literally a minute after the game's kicked off. That was huge for us.
Big moment.
Defensively, we were absolutely brilliant. And we created more chances. So did they, but we did. Jebison came on at some point. Things shifted about. And then he set up Cliver, who just...
It was a good block.
It was a good block.
But yeah, it was. I think Dango went out to the right, didn't he? Done really well. Ran in, played Jebbo, and you thought he was going to hit it. And he actually, I think, was probably the right call. There was a lot of bodies in front of him. Yeah. But they had a few bodies there, and Justin couldn't quite squeeze it in. But yeah, I thought the third might happen. But yeah, it was just so frustrating. So then you see that. I mean, by the way, I know I'm not saying it made a difference because they scored earlier than that. 8 minutes, really?
8 minutes. There was a couple of injuries.
Obviously, there was the VAR thing.
Yeah, and there was also an injury to a Chelsea player in their penalty box. But I can't remember how long that lasted.
What frustrates me, right? I don't know how you do it because there'll be a lot of subjection to it. But so Chelsea. So I think the most of the added time was because Cucurella rolled around like a twat. And one of their players got injured. Why should they get an advantage of 8 minutes? But it's their reason there's more at a time when we need it to end. Yeah,
there were also a couple of moments when watching back on TNT, because you can watch the full game on there, and I did. And whenever one of the teams had a corner, I think there was one for us in the second half, between the ball going out of play and the corner being taken, it was literally about 80 seconds.
Oh, okay.
And that happened twice. So maybe that's where there's a lot of jostling in the box and he's looking to sort it out. So maybe that was one of the reasons. I thought there might be like 5.
Yeah, I think quite often as well, when you see a team, like Bournemouth leaning at Stamford Bridge, you think, they've probably slowed it down. There's probably loads of bookings for time wasted. I don't think we had any. And loads of subs to lock the box. We didn't make any subs after Jefferson, did we? We only made 2 subs, and one of them was in the first half. So yeah, I thought 5 at a push 6. I was a bit surprised by 8, but they did score before that anyway.
Yeah, they had 2 free kicks, direct free kicks towards the latter stages. So Cole Palmer took one of them, and then Reece James, who came on, who apparently has only scored 1 direct free kick before in his career.
I know he can hit them
against when he was at Wigan on loan.
Okay. Yeah, I can't remember him scoring any, but I do know he can hit a ball.
And then he took it, and it was a great free kick. However, you're not sure whether it should have been allowed, Tom, because you've been looking through your FA handbook, right?
It shouldn't be allowed.
Right.
Because the laws of the game state that where 3 or more defending team players form a wall, which we did, all the attacking teams, the Chelsea players, must remain at least a yard from the wall until the ball is in play. And Cucurella, and I think it was Adebayo, are both well within a yard of the ball when James strikes it. So the ball is in play, and when it's kicked, they clearly move. So yeah,
I've never heard that rule ever.
No, I think Neil Moss was going right on about it, wasn't he, online?
Was he?
Yeah, because obviously he's a goalkeeper as well. And then, I can't remember what it was. There was some in a game the day after where they got the spray out and made sure, and we're like, that didn't happen the night before. Don't get me wrong, at the time I didn't think anything of it. But when you look back, you go, well, the only thing that frustrates me is that why do they make all these laws? Make all these laws, there's a referee that doesn't know the rules, and then if he hadn't seen it, you've got millions of people watching on a fucking screen who have probably got the handbook in front of them.
Yeah, and they don't know.
And they don't do it, so what's the point of anything?
No, might as well get rid of that. But it was a good free kick.
It was. I think you made a good point there that they had the free kick not long before where Cole Palmer took it, And I think that was an issue because I think Travers is expecting Palmer to take it.
Yeah.
Who's obviously left-footed. And really, if he sets a wall up there, he should be covering that side. And he wasn't.
But it was in off the post. It was such a good... So it was so difficult.
Finish,
Travers at full strength, as I said on the post-match, as we were walking back, just shifted his weight onto his right. And that made the difference ultimately. But it's not his fault. And people say he was at fault for the first. I can't say.
I do think if he did it again, he knows he shouldn't be in the middle of the goal. That's why you set up a wall. So you set up a wall to cover one half and then you cover the other half.
Yeah.
And he didn't cover it enough. And you see when he's full stretch, he's not that far away.
No.
So
exactly.
if he's in the right position, I think he saves it.
Yeah.
Still a good free kick, not taking anything away from that. And it's not a glaring error. I just think as a goalkeeper, Travers would be going, I wasn't quite in my right zone there. And I think I said to you, like sure after when all the players come over, he went up to Andoni with like his hands like saying sorry, and Andoni hugged him and was like, yeah, love you.
Neil Dawson on the vlog made a point that he thought that we could be conserving ourselves in the first half in order to be more effective in the second. I mean, was it a case of that, or were they just better?
Maybe. I think they were just better. And I think Andoni made a big point after the game of saying he wasn't happy at first half. And as you said, mate, we had a little bit more of the ball, but we were it wasn't us. We were getting it and we were just knocking it around the back. I think we never do that. You know, just like kind of really slow tempo. And I think Andoni was probably being like, I think he said it. He said, if we're going to lose here, lose by being us. You know, lose by being our usual selves. Don't lose like this when you haven't turned up. So, yeah, I was really pleased that we changed it. And the second half was what we've seen most of the season, wasn't it? And listen, like I said, it's a disappointing way to concede, but we ought to have taken it at every point in the game until we scored the second, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chelsea fans, I think it must be... I saw Chelsea Fan TV where a lot of fans were losing their shit and a couple of fans arguing about them, and just, you know, nice to see. So I tuned into that. That was good. But
nice to see them actually vocal.
Yeah, I know. But it must be all the more frustrating, I suppose, for them having more of the ball in the second half and then losing the half 2-1. So that probably sticks in the mind somewhat. So the goal, even though it appeased some fans, a lot of them were very disappointed.
I think it's also it's the games in the build up to this in the league, not just this game.
Yeah, they've dropped points.
Yeah, they've dropped points. Ipswich, Palace, Everton, and listen, even though we're better than them teams, I think Chelsea should still be beating Bournemouth at home. Yeah. So I think there's been a lot of games where basically since people have gone, they're in the title race, they've dropped, haven't they? And that might be one of them things where that's quite a young team, which they kept saying apparently on TNT. Didn't mention the fact that we have 13 injuries, but they are a young team, and you wonder if a little bit psychology of, oh my God, we're in a title race. Yeah. If they did, it just maybe, but right. We'll see. But I still think, I mean, listen, I think I saw a lot of them saying about that Maresca's actually not doing that. I think he's doing a brilliant job. Yeah,
he's done a good job. Who was your statistical man of the match, Tom?
Well, I assumed that it may be Travers because he made so many saves in the first half. So I just think about the rating that he made so many saves. I personally thought Kluivert changed the game, but I would understand why I think TNT gave us Semenyo. Yeah. And I guess because he scored and won the penalty, he's up there.
Yeah, that was the case. So he had 8.0. You're right, though, with Travers 7.8. But Owen Hargreaves was talking about Kluivert, what a positive contribution he had. 7.5 for him. Of course, hitting the post as well. Is that a positive thing or a negative thing if you hit the post?
Yeah, I don't know, because it's annoying because it's not on target, is it?
No.
So the first half we didn't have a shot on target, but we hit the post. I like that Kluivert obviously taking the penalty, obviously changed the game. Our first big chance was Kluivert, and then when we were 2-1 up, the chance to finish it was Kluivert. I love that he gets in them positions, because how many times when Christie's in that role, he never really has a chance. So Kluivert, I think he's more intelligent than people realise.
So we managed to pluck the points from Chelsea. Alas, not all three, but we managed to get a point off them. We've also got a player off them as well in some breaking news on this Thursday. What's going on?
Well, yeah, they had no choice really but to play Jadon Sancho and Noni Madueke, because it looked like their main man, Zane Silcott-Dewberry, is on the way to Bournemouth. But yeah, we've agreed terms with him. He's 19 winger.
Is that a development thing?
I think so, but I mean, at the moment, he's probably going to start. But,
up front.
I think it's more of a development thing. They have got a sell-on clause and incentives and stuff, so they obviously think he's got something about him. But we've managed to grab him. Maybe he thinks he's got a little bit more of an opportunity with us. But yeah, I think he's more of a wide man, an attacker, but then he's also played wing-back, I saw. So quite versatile, which Antonio like. I think he's quite a big guy. So yeah, looking forward to. I'm sure that if we decided to sign him, we'll turn into a gem, mate. But yeah, that was a point and a player. I'll take it.
Someone made a comment, by the way. I was just finishing my blackcurrant and soda. Someone on the thing, because I talk about the whole dry January thing, doing the 10K run, all this kind of stuff, right? Someone called Simon said, a dry January, you do know you're sponsored by a pub, don't you? Like,
I mean, it's a fair point.
He does,
but
yeah,
you can get other stuff in a pub.
Yeah, but like we could be sponsored by like Durex. I mean, I'm going to have sex with you on air. Could happen. You never know. Look, however you've been consuming this, we truly appreciate it. It's a quick turnaround. There's a Newcastle preview on the way, but there's a couple of things you can do. Make sure you do them.
Yeah, click the subscribe button because you know, look how hard we're working. Click the like button and the bell as well, and you get all the good stuff coming out all the time because Sammy Boy is busy at the moment, so make sure you do all them things. Thank you very much.
Other chairs, and we'll see you in the next one. You ready?
I haven't thought of a Dewberry song yet. Dewberry running down the wing. Dewberry. What's his name? Zane. I ain't doing that.
That's impossible.